Hey, Taurus, Mel, intuitive coach here, excited to bring in your February 2025 love and family reading. If you're interested in a personal reading, signing up for the monthly newsletter, or entering into the free reading giveaway, you can find all of that information in the description box below the video. All right, Taurus, whether you are in a partnership at this time or whether you're single, we'll look at all situations here. Now, I do see right away you're stopping a pattern. You're stopping a pattern of self-sabotage, ego, fear, frustrations, and even lack of confidence. And you're ready to embrace a new beginning. I love it. Ace of Pentacles is your starting energy here. Now, bottom of the deck, you have cutting ties, moving on. You've learned a very valuable lesson around an experience or situation with someone. It could be a family member, it could be a friend, it could be a lover. And I feel like you've gained a new level of confidence. Yeah, look at, you have the Fool crossing your energy here. It feels like you're ready to start a new life, but there's still some loose ends, which we'll talk about. Loose ends, it may be codependency. It could be obsessions, addictions, because we do have the addiction card here showing up. So some of you may have been dealing with an addict or someone who had maybe even an addictive personality. This could also be characteristics of your own self that you are working on releasing because it's causing a bit of an emotional block. For those of you that are single, I feel like there has been some frustrations. You felt perhaps a little bit segregated. You may have cut out people who were no longer aligned or matched your energy. And I do see here, moving forward, you want to have a new beginning. There's the Lovers, all right, that's coming in above you. You want to have this new beginning, but there's still some emotional blocks that we're going to talk about in this reading today. Now, for those of you that are currently in a relationship, someone could have an addiction that is causing this relationship to feel separated. Now, it could be an addiction to social media. It could be an addiction to work. It could be gaming. It could be, anything that causes one to feel left out in the cold. You have the Five of Pentacles that just landed on the addiction card. And it's coming up actually in the reverse position in your near future. So I feel like you're addressing it. You're coming in from the cold saying, why am I feeling emotionally blocked? Whether you're single or not, there is a little bit of an elephant in the room to address. So we're going to take a look at that. How are you feeling here, Taurus? How are you feeling? Now, I have to say, some of you may have gone cold. Now, this could be, and as I say that, we have some hands going up here, like, all right, I'm not talking, like, don't come at me, I'm not ready. So some of you may have gone cold to a situation. There may have even been a silent treatment where you stopped talking to someone because there wasn't reciprocity. Yeah, Six of Pentacles in your environment. Something was very much one-sided, or that addictive personality tends to take over, and it doesn't even realize that we're putting something else above an important relationship. All right, and that's what addiction is it can even be codependence, which I see here. Codependence, needing something external to fulfill a part of ourselves within, but we know that that's a false illusion. We know that that's not true fulfillment. And I see you're moving on from anything here that doesn't align with who you are on a soul level. That's why you have the Fool. Now, King of Pentacles is at the bottom of the deck. Now, this may be what you don't see coming. This could also be a part of your own archetype, Taurus, because you are an earth sign. You're going to continue working on you, working on your stability, working on your craft. And I do see here that for those of you that are in a commitment or in a relationship, there needs to be something addressed. If you want a safer circumstance or environment, I should say, if you want something to feel more stable or more safe, then we need to address the elephant in the room. So let's dive into your reading here. In the recent past, Taurus, you may have been in an energy where you just didn't feel like you were enough, or someone couldn't give you everything that you truly wanted or needed. And there may have even been self-sabotage or self-abandonment. You may have been focusing on someone else's needs too much, or perhaps you were enabling. I'm just going to put that out there because we have addiction. You may have been enabling a behavior because you may have had a difficult time putting up a boundary, or, putting a stop to something here. But in the present energy, you have decided, wow, there was something that's not helping me. It's causing frustration. It's part of the ego. It's part of, my fears as well. And it's not good for me. So something in the past you recognize as not being good for you, or it just felt like it wasn't enough to fulfill you emotionally as well. Okay. Because we do have the lovers come in and above you. That is about making choices from the heart. And over here, it feels like it was more fear-based, more ego-based than truly the heart-based. And what we have in the present energy is cutting down. You may have felt cut down. It could be by, a family member, or even your own parent, maybe your child as well. If this isn't a lover, someone may have said something out of ego, out of fear, out of anger that cut you down. And you thought, well, what the heck? What did I do to deserve that? Or maybe it caused you to really reflect and say, am I contributing to some sort of behaviors that cause me or someone else to feel left out in the cold? So I see you getting honest. All right. That's the Ace of Pentacles. Pentacles is a very material energy. It's also about you addressing what needs to be addressed out in the open instead of holding it in, instead of keeping it to yourself. I feel like you're putting it out there. And even if it may cause a bit of a separation, you may say what you need to say, but someone may not like it. You may say, wait a second, your words, they were not okay. You cannot speak to me that way, or I have to set a boundary. I have to draw a line in the sand because this is frustrating. And I feel like there's a piece of confidence here. You may not have addressed this for a while, or it's something you've been living with here, because sometimes the action of moving forward and bringing it out into the open, that can be the hardest part. But here you are stopping that pattern. So whatever pattern, Taurus, was showing up in yourself or in an important relationship here, I feel like you are addressing it. And you may even be telling someone, no more, silent treatment, or maybe that was how you were, someone responded to you in that way because you spoke up. Yeah, because you spoke up. Or maybe you didn't speak up. You just said, I am not going to let someone else cut me down or make me feel like I am less than. And I feel like you also, you took a look at yourself, your self-confidence, your self-worth, and you may have had to work through some shadows, and they may be coming up right now, poking their ugly head to the surface with the addiction card in the future. Now, this is about obsessions and restraints, but I actually like this showing up for you. And let me tell you why here, Taurus, because restraint, what does that mean? That we feel stuck, we feel tethered, we feel bonded. Basically, it's the devil, right? But the fact that this is coming up for you tells me that you have the ability to untether, to stop the pattern. That's what you're working on right now. You're currently working on breaking out of these chains. Again, regardless of relationship status, this is energy. And I feel like you're breaking out of some sort of chains that have caused you to feel blindfolded and handcuffed, basically. You see, in the past, she is blindfolded. She has the bondage on her arm. She didn't feel like she could do much. So some of you may have been in a relationship where you just felt like you couldn't leave, you couldn't get out, or maybe there was an addiction. Maybe because you felt trapped, you yourself started to form an addiction that wasn't good for you. And you're saying, wait a second, is this the path that I want to go down in my life? Is this the type of energy that I want to be in 2025, or, moving into the next chapter, the next journey of my life? So I really see you addressing some of these things now, because you start off here with the Ace of Pentacles and the Fool. I also see for some of you, there may have been a bit of a false start, but I'm getting a kick start here. It's like trying to start your car on a really cold morning. And I say that I'm in Wisconsin. It's negative 100. Okay, not that bad, but it feels like it. This is about, starting something up after it's been cold and sitting there for quite some time. It takes a couple of times to get that engine revved and rolling and started up here. And that's how it feels with your heart here, Taurus. Perhaps some of you, you've gone cold. It's sat in the cold for so long, or because temperatures within the body, within the heart, energetically, feels like they reached sub-zero temps, right? And it's just revving. And you're like, okay, well, I'm going to flood this system. I'm just going to back up and put a hand up and not even try because it's a lost cause. But I see you addressing it and you're saying, wait a second, I got places to go. I got people to see. I got a life to live. What do I need to do to get up and running here? And yes, I don't want to stand out here trying to start my car when it's freezing. I hope you're following me along. This is metaphorically. Energetically, but you are willing to address some of that hard stuff. You're willing to do what it takes to get up and running again. And that's what I see happening here. Now, if there was any sort of possession, any sort of control that may have also caused one to become obsessive or restrained, of course, seek help, okay? Get out of that situation if something has become violent, aggressive, or toxic, all right? But for the majority of you, this is emotional blockages that they shut you down, all right? It's a part of your nervous system, here that tends to just kind of shut down is what I'm getting. And you may fight or flight. You may even fawn, right? Fawn can be enabling, taking care of others at the cost of your own expense. And I see here that you are definitely taking a look at something under a microscope here. Now, bottom of the deck, you have the Ship card. This is cutting ties, moving on. You've received what you've needed. You may have sat in some sort of a defense mechanism here, Taurus, because that's what you needed to help you through a past circumstance. We all do it. We all put out barriers, walls, and we try to heal and we try to do what we can to keep moving forward. But it almost feels like you've progressed and you've arrived to this next level. And Spirit is saying, all right, come on, you got this. It's time to address. It's time to move forward in matters of the heart. And I feel like you may have had to cut some ties to get to where you are, or that may be something that you're doing now. So diving in, you have the Ace of Pentacles. This is the start of a new life. For those of you that are single, you may have been working on your stability, okay? King of Pentacles, bottom of the deck. You may have been working. Some of you are building a business, or you may even be crafting or taking care of items in the home that need fixing. I feel for those of you who maybe you're very handy, but even if you're not handy, I feel like you are addressing certain things and fixing certain things, maybe even physically. Maybe it could be like changing out the light bulbs in a home, or changing a tail light. I also feel like there could be some remodeling here. Some of you could be moving to a new space. You could be changing jobs. There may be some additional changes that are occurring in your life at this time, Taurus, that is causing you to, have a new beginning. This is a positive reward for your hard work. You've been building and building and building. And I see here that through self-development, through your spiritual work as well, and by setting some boundaries for yourself, you are slowly opening up that emotional block. But it's important to address it, not, work where you're putting something under the rug. I do feel like it's important to do the work that needs to be done if you want to open yourself up to love in some way. Now, for some of you that are in a relationship, you could be dealing with a workaholic. You could be married to someone who is very, very maybe immature at times with the Fool, or reckless. We'll say reckless here, reckless with money. Maybe that's a cause of feeling a bit abandoned, or feeling left out in the cold, or just feeling like you can't communicate or talk about something. And for a lot of you, if you are single here, I feel like it has been a challenge because maybe you're meeting people that are stuck in this, addictive, cut down, emotional blockage type of energy, and you're like, wait a second, what's going on here? Why am I attracting, or why, if I'm at the King of Pentacles, why am I attracting pages? And I feel like you are taking a close look. It's okay that you're meeting these people, but you're not, you don't feel like there's a close connection. And that is something that is shifting. That is changing here, because through meeting some of those people, you're still learning. Even if you only see them one time, you're seeing what you want, what you don't want. You are seeing that, okay, maybe I could take this conversation to a new direction. Instead of just surface, why don't I ask them how they would deal with maybe a subject matter that's difficult within their family or at work? Like, instead of just having these surface level conversations like, how was your day, or what do you do for work? I feel like it's important here to address some of the behavioral patterns. Instead of feeling like you're going on a date and it is an interview for spending your life with this person, see how this person responds in challenging times. Ask them questions that have them digging into the experience with you. Have the date be, unforgettable, where they've talked about things that they haven't talked about on other dates. So for those of you that are wanting to put yourself out there in some way, make that experience different, than the rest. And I feel like that could get you moving forward in a different direction, where some of those people that may be very surface, there could be an attachment or even a feeling of emotional block, but perhaps you're able to break down some barriers by building that vulnerability between the both of you. And for those of you that are in a connection here, I feel like it's important to start talking. It's important to communicate more about your goals and, have some goals for the future, maybe travel or things around the house or financial goals. I just see here that there's a little bit of a reckless or a false start to a beginning. It feels like there's still some things to address, and hopefully we just talked about some of them. But for those of you that are dealing with maybe a son, I'm getting a son here. Someone may have a child, a son, maybe even a daughter, but I'm getting a son. I'm just looking. Oh, well, there's the son below you. So someone could have a son that's now an adult. Or they could be just any age, of course, but they could be codependent on you. I mean, if they're young, our children become codependent on parents, of course. I mean, that's how it works. But some of you could also have a child who may have some addictive tendencies to check out, or to be avoidant, or to numb, or to get through some difficult time that they've gone through. Yeah, some of you, this has to do with a child of yours. Okay, these are love and family readings, so take them as they resonate. But I feel like someone wants a fresh start, and there could be a child in recovery, or just a child that's having a fresh start. Now, Taurus, there may also be some of your own inner child stuff that you are working through at this time. Page of Swords is at the bottom here, which is your foundation. Page of Swords, he is someone who embraces life with intellectual curiosity. Someone who is in search of the truth, but sometimes he can be a little rebel. He can be a little troublemaker. Okay, so perhaps some of you were rebels in your younger years, a little bit wild. I am getting here with this Page of Swords, this is also about asking the difficult questions. And we just talked about that as well. So for some of you, whether this is a first date, whether you are single and maybe there is no dating here, or perhaps you are in a relationship, going back to asking some difficult situations are going to help you get to that king or queen level. We have to be willing to ask those difficult questions in order to move forward and find out what's really going on in one's mind, instead of assuming, because that's what I'm getting here is there may be some assumptions. All right. There may be some assumptions, and some of you, this isn't an assumption, it is a fact, right? Someone may really have an addiction, but I feel like talking to someone, getting the truth out, getting through some childhood wounding, there's something here about addressing this. And I feel like this is the white elephant in the room. I mean, look at the skull and the knives there. It's like the death. It reminds me of the death. It feels like once something is out in the open, we can have a new beginning. We can have a new beginning. So whether this be a childhood wound, whether this be a conversation that it keeps getting thrown under the rug, or it's a talk about finances or talk about family or whatever it may be, maybe addressing an old issue that you're still hanging on to. Maybe there's been some sort of something that had happened and you need to speak up about it because you've been stuffing it down within you. And the Page of Swords is reminding you to be open to curiosity, intellectual curiosity here. Ask for questions, search for the truth, because otherwise it's going to spiral in the mind, causing obsessiveness and causing the mind to control you. I always say you control the mind or it controls you. Now, Taurus, recent past, we have the Nine of Cups. I actually like the Nine of Cups here. This is beautiful because this tells me that you are independent. Some of you are single. This can be the card of being single. And even if you're in a relationship, I feel like there's a very independent energy, regardless of it saying codependent. It feels like you could be very independent and someone's codependent on your independence. Okay, that's a tongue twister. But the Nine of Cups is also about accomplishments. You've accomplished a lot in your lifetime, not just physically with that King of Pentacles, Taurus, but spiritually, emotionally, intuitively. You are someone who has opened up, or that is what you are working on. And you've been asking some of the questions of, where do I feel dissatisfied or satisfied in my life? Where do I feel restless? And what do I need to reflect on in order to live my best life? Some of you may have been soaking more in baths, okay? Maybe some good Epsom salt baths. You may even have a hot tub. You may be reading more, journaling more, or just spending more time in self-care and self-love. And I also see for some of you, there was a dream. Okay, Martin Luther King, I had a dream, right? There's a dream here that may have had either a false start or it could be an expectation. There we go. Something about an expectation has been shattered and you may be able to see through some sort of an expectation. So for example, you may have had an expectation of how you thought your child was going to grow up, how they were going to live their life, or you may have had an expectation in a relationship that you were in. Whatever this may be, I feel like something has not turned out the way that you thought that it was going to, but now you're reevaluating and you're saying, what do I need to do to allow or accept? Because I'm getting acceptance, and that rarely comes up with the Nine of Cups, but I am getting here something about acceptance or allowing yourself to feel content regardless of things not turning out in the way that you expected or had hoped. But I see that by reevaluating circumstances here, it allows you to make choices from the heart instead of choices based on fear. Choices that feel euphoric and feel high, right? And feel good and feel like a vibrational frequency that matches your energy versus haunted choices. Choices that we look back on and say, oh my gosh, that choice I made changed my direction of my life and I regret it, or I wish I would have made a new one. I feel like you are really examining your world in such a big way here. And when the Lovers card shows up, some of you may even be in a same-sex relationship or a non-traditional relationship, or of course, you're just connecting to your self-love in ways that you've never experienced before. It feels like you've always opened up to something or someone and kind of attached to that energy in some way, or it was attached to you, or vice versa, right? But I feel like the Lovers here coming in above you is saying there's an opportunity for you to fall in love, right? Fall in love with life, fall in love with an individual, fall in love with your spouse again. This is a balance. It's a soulmate energy. It's sexual energy here as well. And instead of being stuck in a bad union or stuck with no love or stuck between a rock and a hard place where you may have a difficult choice to make, this is what's coming up here. You have to ask yourself some big questions here. Do I want to be left out in the cold? I mean, no one does, but sometimes the choices that we make don't really align with what we truly want. And that's where the two combined, the head and the heart, is where miracles happen. When we can align that head space, because we go through situations that cause trauma or cause a fear response in our bodies, and our nervous system can shut down emotionally, right? We can disassociate. We can grab on to addiction, substances, even sex. And I feel like you are addressing certain issues that have caused you to feel lack of confidence or have caused an energy about you to grab on to the ego part of ourselves, because we all have ego. It's part of the human experience, but has gravitated more towards the ego versus the soul self. And that's why you have the Fool showing up here. The Fool is the soul self. It is the zero, right? Zero, not even the number here. It is the round and round. Like, we have the opportunity to go through a new portal, the portal towards the Magician, towards a brand new beginning here. And that's what you are questioning. And I see here 5 of Pentacles is about humbled energy. It's also about the mindset as well, taking a look at the mind, the stories that you tell. Some of you, it may be abandonment, it may be rejection, and it may have started off at a very young age. Okay, some of you have addiction that runs in the family. Some of you have left home early to go fend for yourself. Some of you got married very young. All right. Some of you are divorced a few times already. I mean, whatever it is that you feel like you've been failing, what if you look at that piece of you that doesn't feel enough and give it an extra hug, give it extra love, and say, you know what? That wasn't a failed attempt. If anything, that showed how strong and courageous I was to try. And that right there is accomplishment. That right there is you being able to look at some of the things that have gone on prior, and for you to put your brave face on and step courageously into this new chapter of your life. Now, how are you doing? 7 of Wands, boundaries. That's been an important lesson that you've learned. Some of you, again, are drawing a line in the sand, Taurus, and you may be saying, all right, enough is enough. I will not feel attacked. I will have the upper hand here because I am believing and standing up for myself. I am protecting my integrity here. I feel like you're meeting a challenge. And I like this because we all come face to face with challenge, and we can fight challenge, we can flight it, we can fawn it, right? You can let something kind of play out at you, and you can let those wands kind of hit you over the head there and stab at you and poke at you, or you can put up your hand and say, this is my dance space, that's yours. I will not let your energy tamper with mine anymore. So whatever that means for you. And it could be having a talk with someone and saying, this is what I need from you, and this is what can benefit us both. And I feel like there could be a mutual ground here if that is what you want, what you both want. But for others of you, I feel like it is cutting ties and moving on, or making peace with something of the past that may have felt like it was attacking you. All right. 7 of Wands can be fight or flight. It can be stubbornness. It can be the guard being put up so high that we don't always feel like we can allow that emotional block to come down, because we're going to be accused, we'll be rejected, we'll be abandoned, we'll be hurt. I mean, that is part of our defense mechanism. But it feels like this is a healthier energy coming in. Why? Because you're manifesting from self-love. All right, what's going on here in your environment? 6 of Pentacles, you're addressing the imbalance in your life. You see, when this card is in the upright, there's 2 friends here, okay? They could be 2 friends, they could be a family member, this could be lovers. They're gifting each other. And they come from two completely different backgrounds. You can see that there may be a different ethnicity here, but it doesn't matter what backgrounds they come from. They can still exchange energy. It doesn't matter if you come from the most tumultuous background and someone came from a completely different background. You know, you, at the end of the day, we all are sparks of the divine. We all exchange energy. And I feel like you want to exchange energy with someone who respects you. They want to put in the effort like you do. They want, you know, there must be some sort of shared or common goals, common interests. You can see in the background, there's some tents, there's a music festival, there's mountains, so that could be significant. Some of you may enjoy music with someone. Maybe you've been to a couple of concerts with this individual. Maybe you like camping or tenting. Maybe you're planning a trip to go to the mountains, or you live by the mountains here. I am getting some Arizona vibes, okay? Or like Sedona is what I'm getting here. Maybe there's a spiritual trip that you want to take. I also see here with it being in reverse, 6 of Pentacles, this is establishing healthy boundaries and not over giving, all right? Based on codependency, based on people pleasing. And sometimes we tend to do that. Maybe it goes back from the very beginning. Now, in your hopes and fears, you want to commit to what wants to commit to you, all right? But in a healthy way. This also, the Hierophant, has to do with our higher power, our belief systems, our traditions, our wisdom that we've gained along the way. It's also about societal norms, mentorships, teachers. So I see that this is very important for you to stand in your integrity and to feel a sense of commitment towards your family, towards those you love, but also that pinky promise that you gave yourself at a very young age. There's something here that you promised yourself, because this 9 of Cups is a wish. You promised yourself something, but somewhere along the line, that expectation of the promise that you made was shattered. And I feel here that you're saying, wait a second, just because that dream didn't turn out the way that I hoped doesn't mean that the big grand dream is not meant for me, because now you're recognizing that it is, that you have to get out of some sort of spiral or restraint and recommit to what's important to you. What is the outcome? You have 2 cards that came out. I love, Taurus. You have the 6 of Wands and the Chariot. Beautiful. 6 of Wands. This is interesting. Aries had this one at the bottom of the deck for Aries. If you have some Aries placements or you're on the cusp, that's a very powerful read. You may want to check that one out as well. But this is about, you know, calling the shot here. And you see that he literally is handicapped. He's in his wheelchair and he is still taking a shot. And the message that came through in Aries reading, which is the same as what I'm getting here for you, is it does not matter race, size, background. It doesn't matter what immobiles you. It doesn't matter what those, you know, insecurities are of yourself or whatever you have gone through. You, just like everyone else, is just as worthy as love. You have your time to shoot your shot here. Whatever it is that you want to do or go for, if you want to put yourself out there and date and find love, you know, it doesn't matter if you're 90 years old or you are 19 years old, right? You have just the same amount of ability to be loved than anyone else. And I see that some of you feel stuck or immobile. Some of you, quite literally, it feels like you are bonded or tethered to something. Maybe it is like a wheelchair here. Maybe it is, you know, a physical handicap that you have. I'm getting also someone has like scars or a birthmark, or someone has some sort of, we're going to call it a beauty mark on the body that you're very lack confidence over. You don't love, right? There's something here that you don't love and you feel like it's unlovable. And I'm here to tell you that you are lovable, every single inch of you. All right, Taurus, every inch of you. Doesn't matter how tall or how short or how big or how little. It does not matter. You are lovable. And I see here, Chariot. This is forward momentum. Chariot Caesar, Maybe some of you are visiting Caesar's Palace or eating a good Caesar salad, but this is about Cancer season. June or July could be a very, very significant time for you in matters of the heart. Okay, we have the Lovers here. And you know what's interesting is we have on the Chariot, there's also a dog with no legs. Is someone an amputee here? Okay, or someone have some issues walking or some sort of disability, we'll say. Don't let that stop you. Don't let that stop you is what I'm getting here, Taurus, because you see that the dog is also on the wheels, but he's living his best life right next to the big dog here. And it feels like you may stop yourself because you may feel like you can't keep up to someone, or maybe it feels like you can't date someone who is a certain way because you can't do it. It just feels like there's something you're telling yourself is impossible, but I want you to retrain that part of your brain and say, wait a second, I'm not going to let this hold me back. I'm going to shoot my shot here because I deserve that chance just like anyone else does. And I see forward momentum. I see movement here. I see you realigning and moving forward. And you see that not only is this little dog keeping up, he's excited, his tongue's hanging out of his mouth, but this big dog next to him, he's looking over in admiration, and they're friends, they're friends, and she's taking him for a walk. And some of you, I also see like leaves on the ground. Maybe there's something about quite literally leaving the city for a bit. Fall time could be significant, maybe if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, but I love the Chariot and the Six of Wands. I mean, that is a beautiful, beautiful outcome. All right, Taurus, last but not least, let's get a message from the wisdom of the Oracle. You have TikTok. All right, I'm not going to make any TikTok references here, but I'll just sigh over that one. All right, 30, card 30 here. Timelessness, divine timing, immeasurable time, love, the fulfillment of desire, and even the body's reproductive cycles have their own timetable. Some things are preordained and cannot be coerced. Everything has its season, its divine and appropriate timing, especially when it comes to matters of the heart. Remember that you always have enough time for love, to find it, to nurture it, to give and receive it. Its clock is eternal, and it ticks according to the beating of your heart in perfect rhythm. Isn't that wonderful to know? Love is always right on time. Beautiful. Now, because we have a little bit of a false start, or I don't want to say a false start, but you're like, when, Mel? When is the start of the new life going to happen? I want to meet someone already, or I want to finally move forward past the feeling of not enough. What's going on here? Have you been feeling as if the clock is ticking and gotten a little nervous that your dreams are taking too long to manifest? There's nothing to fear. You will never run out of time for the important things. The miracles that are yours and yours alone can't be missed. Isn't that amazing? You are in such capable hands with guides and angels hovering in the invisible spaces, ensuring that your journey will be filled with all sorts of goodies. Let your anxiety be gently dispelled by your faith. There's your Hierophant energy. Spirit will never deny you your highest good. All is yours in divine appropriate timing. You can relax. Beautiful. And that may be part of some of you scrambling or feeling like you're stuck. All right. You may even be going through a bit of difficulties with aging or growing older here, or it feels like, again, you're running out of time. But I see June, July being a very significant month for you in matters of the heart. I also have Gemini season here, the Lovers. Okay. Now, Gemini season is actually prior. This is May and June. What else do we have here for timing? We have the Fool card, and this is Aquarius. So we have Aquarius coming in. The majority of February will be in Aquarius season. So those three timelines, some of you're going to see the shift happening either in Aquarian season, Gemini, or Cancer. So that is what I have for you, Taurus. If you like the message, please hit that thumbs up. Feel free to share, like, subscribe, and hit that bell. And thank you so very much for tuning in today. Lots of love.